everyone, my name is Mary Gikikaki and I'm a research fellow at the University of Warwick with the ERC funded project Token Communities in the Ancient Mediterranean. I would like to talk to you today about the roles tokens played in antiquity for sealing bonds of friendship and hospitality. I am now in a beautiful scenery of the ancient Mediterranean, in Sunion, in the temple of Poseidon, as you can see yourselves. In Homer's poems, one of the earliest written works of the Western and the Mediterranean civilization, it is evident that humans were confronted with dangers and uncertainties in a world still untamed and often wild. But there was also a code of honor, especially in the intrapersonal relationships. For example, the story of Glaucus and Diomedes, when the two of them met in face-to-face combat before the walls of Troy. After he was provoked by Diomedes, Glaucus declared that he was a grandson of Bellerophon and he could therefore fight anybody. And upon learning this ancestry, Diomedes stated that his grandfather had acted as a host for Bellerophon, and therefore the two of them should continue this friendship. So the two of them shook their hands, they exchanged armors, and they went away in peace, of course without fighting. Hospitality was a key institution in the ancient Mediterranean, and tokens were exchanged in the frame of hospitality. They were objects of low intrinsic but of high representative value, and each party took one half of the token, and when the two parties came together again, they acquired their full significance, and it was possible to identify the concluding parties or even the descendants of them as the beneficiaries of the old hospitality agreement. The Greek word for tokens is symbola, from the verb symbalin, which means bring close together, while the Latin word is tessera hospitalis. Tesseram confere is an expression used in Plautus' play Poenulus. Tesseram confere means compare the tessera, bring the two pieces close together, the equivalent of the symbola. Currently there are approximately 64 tokens known from across the Mediterranean, and they can be classified in terms of the inscriptions they carry in Greek, Latin, Carthaginian and Celtiberian pieces, but there are even pieces which bear no inscriptions at all. Returning to Plautus' work Poenulus, we have to say that Plautus was a Roman playwright who was active in the late 3rd and the early 2nd century BC, and Plautus was a witness, a contemporary of the Second Punic War, and he witnessed Hannibal's invasion to Italy. Nevertheless, in his plays, and especially in Poenulus, he talks a lot about friendship and hospitality between Carthaginians and Greeks. And this is the story of a youth named Agorastocles, who was captured in Carthage and enslaved, and was later adopted by a Greek named Antidamas and an elderly Carthaginian named Hanno, who later proves to be his uncle. Since Hanno and Agorastocles do not know each other, Hanno shows his own part of the token so that Agorastoklis can compare with his own part. As a result, the two of them proved to be the beneficiaries of an old hospitality agreement which was concluded between Agorastoklis' adopted father and Hanno's father. Here is also the expression tesseram hospitalem confere mentioned, an expression which is the exact equivalent of the Greek symbalin, bring close together. We have to say that in antiquity it was not only that the persons could be the beneficiaries of a hospitality agreement, but such friendship alliances could be concluded even between state entities. This is the case of a token found in the year 1717 in the south of France. On the palm of the right hand, of the preserved right hand, we read the inscription in Greek, token to Velavi. Obviously here we have an agreement, an alliance between a Greek city, at all probability Massalia, the modern Marseille, and on the other hand we have a local Gaulish tribe, the Velavi. Tokens are objects which are not easy. They are particularly difficult to identify, especially when they bear no inscriptions at all. There is a token, however, which was from the beginning correctly identified, and this token stands very close to Plautus' narration about Agorastoklis and Hanno. This token was recovered in the necropolis of Lilybaeum in the far west of Sicily, an area which was at the time under strong Carthaginian influence, and was recovered in the year 1749. It has the form of clasping hands on one hand, and on the other side we have the inscription written in Greek recording both parties of the agreement. It is Imulche Inibal Chloros, the son of Imulchon, the son of Himilchon, and the other concluding part is Lyson, the son of Diognetes. And the son of Diognetes. So we have a Carthaginian and a Greek one, who exchange tokens between them. The other half, which has been lost, would have recorded the same names but in reverse order. This is a beautiful and extraordinary, indeed an extraordinary piece of an ancient token. There are more pieces from Italy, this time written in Latin. And we have these pieces from Italy quite often are zoomorphic, which means they have the shape of animals or animals' parts. And this is a ram's head, which records two names. It is Titus Manlius and Staiodus. Staiodus would have come from a prominent family from the area from around Lake Fucino, while Titus Manlius comes obviously from the famous senatorial family. And this is a token which can be dated to the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, at the time when Rome was expanding to the entire peninsula and was seeking bonds of friendship with dignitaries from other areas. And moving to Celtiberia, there we have tokens, sometimes written in Latin, sometimes written in Paleo-Hispanic, but some of them follow closely the tokens known from the Italian peninsula. A token with the name of Publius Turullius refers to a Roman citizen which was particularly active, and he was involved in mining activity in the central area of Celtiberia. And obviously the other part would have been a local nobleman. If one part was Roman, the other would have been a local. But there is also an exceptional whole class of tokens from Celtiberia which demonstrate a geometric shape. These were made on purpose so that they can be exactly fitted together when needed. We must not think of them as abstract shapes deriving from figurative arts, but rather the originals would have been made of wood, and so the originals must be sought in the domain of carpentry. And this quite interesting token was recovered from the modern city of Viana in Navarre, which in antiquity was the Oppidum La Custodia. Tokens in a similar geometric shape are found also in Athens. In Athens, the city, in terms of geography and in terms of population, was divided in tribes and in demes, and these jigsaw clay tokens have demes and tribe names on them. They were used in procedures of allotment of citizens to offices, and they made sure that all citizens were entitled to hold an office, irrespective of without paying attention to their status or to their wealth or their abilities. So these tokens were not just pieces who should be brought together, but they were used in an allotment procedure. They are true symbola, because these, just like the pieces from the rest of the Mediterranean, should be brought close together in order to acquire their full significance. And upon comparing the two pieces together, then it was instantly clear which of the demes would occupy, if any, offices on that year, because offices and magistracies in Athens were for a duration of a year. Returning to the Tesserae Hospitalis, we have to say that Tesserae Hospitalis were also were indeed objects of low intrinsic but of highly representative value. So, for example, in Euripides' Medea, when Theseus is determined to expel Medea out of Corinth, he promises to give her Symbola, so that they will so that his host, so that Jason's host will be able to recognize Medea as the beneficiary of an old hospitality agreement. The Byzantine scholion on this passage of Medea says that Tesserae Hospitalis in this case were knuckle bones split in half, and indeed such knuckle bones have been spotted in the excavations of the Athenian Agora. Returning once more to the Tesserae Hospitalis of the Mediterranean, we must say that this is a phenomenon quite important, with far-reaching implications for the social life of antiquity. It denoted a special code of conduct and a particular code of honor. And it is also important because we have disparate communities from across the Mediterranean using the same means of recognizing old friendship relationships. Also these objects have a particularly long duration of use. The oldest of them are dated to the 6th century BC, while the most recent are dated to the time of Augustus. And here is a piece dated to the year 14 Common Era by the evidence of the inscription. And the inscription on this piece, which has a form of a bowl, the inscription extends in more than 20 lines. And according to an opinion, tokens ceased to be produced because of a surge in literacy. People turned to other means of communication, preferring letters, for example, instead of exchanging tokens. So thank you for your attention. There are more videos to explore in the website of the project Token Communities in the Ancient Mediterranean.